the early 1530s, there were about 10 active monasteries in the city of Bristol, for a population of only 10,000. If that ratio was maintained today, Bristol would have about 500 monasteries. The monasteries made a huge contribution to the life of the city. They ran hospitals, shared agricultural innovations, cared for the poor, provided education, and, most importantly, nourished souls. From 1538 to 1540, all of the monasteries in the British Isles were closed by order of King Henry VIII. The land was seized for the crown and distributed to Henry's supporters. The valuables were taken off in carts, the lead was taken from the roofs, and the buildings were either put to other uses or demolished. Some of the male monks received small pensions. Others were left destitute. The nuns were left to fend for themselves. This talk will show you how to make a circular walk of Bristol's monasteries, which can be done in a few hours. You can make the walk a pilgrimage to St. Jordan, who we will meet on our tour. We start at the top of Park Row. You can park in Trenchard Street car park, from the top of which you will get a fine view of Bristol city centre, including the cathedral and some of the buildings mentioned. Next to the entrance to the car park is the Red Lodge, now a fine museum. The current building was constructed around 1580 and was built on the site of the house of the Prior of Whitefriars, a Carmelite monastery. The various monastic orders were known by the colour of their habit. The Carmelite order was founded on Mount Carmel, Jerusalem, in the 12th century. The ruins of the original monastery still exist on the slopes of Mount Carmel. Their patron saint is Elijah, who did spiritual battle with the prophets of Baal on Carmel. Much of the land of the Bristol Carmelites is now occupied by Colston Hall. Some is taken by Whitefriars office block. From the Red Lodge, head down Park Row. On the left you will see the church of St. Michael on the Mount. If you want to visit it, go up this steep path. The church dates to Norman times and is now an arts centre. Just past the church, on the corner of St. Michael's Hill, is King David's Hotel. This was the site of the convent of St. Mary Magdalene, established in 1173 by Eva Fitzharding, the widow of Robert Fitzharding, who founded the Augustinian Abbey, now Bristol Cathedral. At this point, Park Row becomes Upper Magdalen Street, Magdalen being a shortening of Magdalene. A few minutes further on, you'll come to Bristol Children's Hospital. Directly over the road from the large hoops is the very narrow Johnny Ball Lane. According to the 15th century chronicler William Worcester, Johnny Ball Lane marks the western border of Greyfriars, the Franciscan monastery founded in 1230. So all the hospital buildings opposite, including Bristol Eye and Dental Hospitals, are on the site of the monastery. It is no coincidence that Bristol's hospitals occupy the sites of the monasteries, as the monks provided the foundations of our modern healthcare system. So, cross over Upper Magdalen Street and head down Johnny Ball Lane. It looks like a dead end, but it is a long lane which takes you to Lewins Mead. Running under the road is the River Frome, which carries on under St. Augustine's Parade and empties out into the docks. When you come out of Johnny Ball Lane, you will see a monk on a horse. He is outside St. Bartholomew's house, an office block. If you arrive during office hours and the security guard on the desk is in a good mood, you can go in and see the display about St. Bartholomew's Hospital. In 1175 a hall was built there on the banks of the River Frome. In the 13th century St. Bartholomew's Hospital was built, run by the monks. Take a right along Lewins Mead and you will come to the medieval buildings which formed part of the hospital. Turn around and go back past the monk, continuing on Lewins Mead. You will see the entrance to Whitefriars office block on your left, the site of the Carmelite monastery we mentioned earlier. A few minutes on, take a left on Lower Magdalen Street. On your left, look out for the fine brick sculptures of creation on the wall of Bristol Eye Hospital. Very appropriate, given it is the site of the Franciscan monastery. Cross the road and you will come to St. James's Priory. A priory is a community which is a subsidiary or dependency of the main abbey. St. James was a daughter community of the Benedictine Tewkesbury Abbey. Built in 1129, St. James Priory is Bristol's oldest building. It was founded by the son of King Henry I, Robert of Gloucester. The Benedictine order was founded in 529 by St. Benedict of Nursia in modern-day Italy. St. Benedict established a set of rules by which the monks were to live, including poverty, obedience and stability. These monks are known as the Blackfriars. Next to the church is St. James Barton Roundabout, known to Bristolians as the Bear Pit. An annual fair was held in the grounds of St. James in the Middle Ages and included bear baiting. From the roundabout, head down the shopping street of Broadmead. Take a right onto Quakers Friars. Here you will see the remains of the Dominican monastery, established in 1227. From here, head across Castle Green. There is a large roundabout where Old Market joins the busy underpass, Temple Way. Here you will find the church of St. Philip and St. James, known for a time as Pip and J, but now mercifully restored to its former title. This marks the site of another Benedictine priory, founded around 900. It claims to be Bristol's oldest place of Christian worship. It was rebuilt by Robert, Earl of Gloucester, who also built St. James Priory. From here, cross St. Philip's Bridge and take a left down Temple Back, where you will come to Temple Church, set on a green. The church was bombed during the war, and excavations show it used to be a round church. This was the site of the monastery of the Knights Templar, a Crusader order. The main railway station nearby, Temple Meads, is named after the Templars' Meadows. From here, head back across the water, but this time over Bristol Bridge. Follow the main road down Baldwin Street. Just before entering the main road of St. Augustine's Parade, turn right down Clare Street, then left down St. Stephen's Avenue. This will bring you to St. Stephen's Church, the parish church for the city of Bristol. In 1885, one Ramsay MacDonald was appointed there to assist the vicar. He would later go on to become the first Labour Prime Minister of Britain. The current building dates from the 14th century, but previously there was a Benedictine priory on the site, a dependency of Glastonbury Abbey. There is a cafe here with a nice quiet garden you can sit in, an oasis of peace in central Bristol, calling to mind the peace of the original priory. From here, head on to St. Augustine's Parade. Take a left and go past the fountains. The River Frome, which is underground here, emerges into Bristol Harbour. Head up Park Street and you will come to College Green, the grassy area in front of Bristol Cathedral. It is thought that the monastic cell of St. Jordan was here. In the 14th century there was a chapel of St. Jordan on this spot, possibly built on the site of his burial. A map from 1610 shows that there was still a chapel here, located between the cathedral and the Lord Mayor's Chapel, St. Mark's. This lovely church was built in 1230 as a chapel for the patients of St. Mark's Hospital. St. Jordan is believed to have come to Britain as a companion of St. Augustine of Canterbury, who was sent by Pope Gregory the Great to evangelize Britain in 597. St Bede tells us that St Augustine attended a synod in the West Country. St Jordan possibly came with him and stayed behind, forming a monastic community. The current cathedral was founded in 1140 as St Augustine's Abbey and was home to monks of the Augustinian order. This order takes its name from St Augustine of Hippo, the 4th century saint from Carthage, North Africa, and not from St Augustine of Canterbury. The impressive entrance to the old monastery, the Abbot's Gatehouse, still exists. The archway dates from the 12th century, although the gatehouse above it was built in the 15th. Inside the cathedral you can see its oldest object, dating from the 11th century, an impressive statue of the harrowing of hell. On Holy Saturday, the day after his crucifixion, our Lord went to hell to release those held there, including Adam and Eve. This event is depicted in the Orthodox icon of Easter. The oldest part of the cathedral is the Elder Lady Chapel, dating from around 1220. It houses icons of St Augustine and St Jordan. Now for the last part of our journey. When you exit the cathedral, you will see Bristol Council's offices opposite. Go left past the building, across the car park at the rear, and up Brandon Steep. This will take you to Brandon Hill. There was a hermitage on top, dating from at least 1192, when Lucy the Newchurch lived there as an anchorite. Anchorites are traditionally walled into their cells. There were several hundred of them recorded in Britain in the Middle Ages. Sometimes lords or even kings would consult them for their wisdom. The hermitage was still going strong in 1480, when it was visited by William Worcester, the chronicler previously mentioned. It was demolished by the Reformation and replaced by a windmill. The current tower dates from 1897. When the foundations were being dug, the skeletons of humans were found, and analysis showed they were monks. From Brandon Hill, you can head back to Park Row, where our journey started. Walking the route makes it very clear that the presence of monks must have been a central feature of Bristol life in the mid-16th century. Their closure must have been a huge blow for the inhabitants. In addition to the monasteries of Bristol City, there were two others nearby. The current parish church in Westbury-on-Trim, now a suburb of North Bristol, is on the site of a monastery dating from around 717, so claiming to be the oldest monastery in the area. At the end of the 8th century, the area was in the kingdom of Mercia, and King Offa granted the land to his minister. The land then passed to the Diocese of Worcester. In the late 9th century, St Oswald, Bishop of Worcester, reinvigorated and reformed the monasteries, including this one at Westbury. His reforms included improving education and a return to the traditional monastic discipline and values. He later became Archbishop of York. St Oswald died in 972, in the act of washing the feet of the poor during Lent. After his death, miracles were associated with him, and he was made a saint. He was buried in Worcester Cathedral. St Oswald had appointed Germanus as head of the community in Westbury to institute his reforms. Germanus was a Benedictine monk scholar who had been educated in Rome and spent time at Fleury Abbey in France. There is still a chapel of St Oswald in the church, to the south of the main altar, although it is not currently marked as such. Bishop Oswald perhaps took his name from King St Oswald of Northumbria, who had been martyred in Mercia in 642. See our other video on his life. The church contains a fine carved polygonal apse. In the south wall of the nave, the 3 seats, known as sedilia, may have been for the bishop and his senior officials. In the 1460s, Westbury College was built near the church as a residence for the community of resident priests. On the dissolution of the monasteries, it became a private house. The building next to the church, Elsie Briggs House, also dates from the 15th century and is now a retreat centre. Our final monastery was at Congresbury, Somerset. The village takes its name from St Congo, who lived around 470 to 520. He grew up in West Wales and travelled across the Bristol Channel to found a monastery on Cadbury Hill, near present-day Congresbury. The parish church at Badgeworth, Somerset, takes its name from him. St Congo died on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. His relics ended up at the site of the present church in Congresbury, where a shrine was built to house them. Sadly, this was destroyed at the Reformation. The refectory is still there, dating from the Middle Ages. There are several churches dedicated to him, in Brittany and Cornwall, where he was a hermit for some time at Lanivet, just south of Bodmin. There is still a well named after him there. This spot lies on the ancient path from north to south Cornwall, used by the monks travelling between Brittany and Wales, and on to Ireland. Many places which today seem obscure give witness to the central role played by the early monks in evangelizing our lands. St Congo, St Jordan, and all the saints of our isles, pray to God for us, that our lands may return to the faith.